this a government sonic weapon? Maybe.
It's a psyop.
Could be. It could be, my friend.
Wait till Candace Owens finds out I'm on Turning Point's advisory committee and I work for the Romney campaign.
No one here on
I'm ready to become a... Come on, Candace.
Nobody here on the show thought you were a Satanist, but evidently.
Yeah, right. Pull it all together.
Yeah, evidently. Yeah, oh well.
I was at home when Charlie was shot.
Oh, that's because you had heard from the Egyptians.
That's
that
right.
You weren't supposed
the
to
Egyptian
be there.
planes.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That or the lizard people that live at DIA. One of the two.
It is something. All right. Well, you've tuned into the Jeff and Bill show, where we are conspiracy theory light compared to Candace Owens and some of the deep conspiracy theories there. But we'll get to that and more. Plus, Trump moves to ban big investors from buying single-family homes. Is this a good move? Is it actually going to change anything? He's also buying up some bond packages. So, could we see some improvement in the housing market? Now is time, though, for the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good morning. It is Monday, 34 in Denver, as Jeff and Bill have kicked off the week. It's been a great show so far, and we are expecting a high of 56 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, DJT says the U.S. is considering next steps as unrest grows in Iran. 47 was asked Sunday if Iran was crossing a red line, saying that he felt like they were starting to, and that there were some people that were killed that weren't supposed to be killed. He went on to say the U.S. is looking into some strong options and will make a decision, while adding Iranian leaders called him wanting to negotiate. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem has accused Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry of inflaming the public following last week's deadly ICE shooting of the woman from Colorado Springs who wasn't listening to officers and tried to run over one of the officers. DJT.
I think, frankly, they're professional agitators.
But just disrespect.
And I'd like to find out, and we are going to find out who's paying for it.
But just disrespect.
With their brand new signs and all the different things. But these are professional agitators, and law enforcement should not be in a position where they have to put up with this stuff. What that woman and what her friend and what their other friends were doing to law enforcement, not just ICE, law enforcement is outrageous.
Yes,
all right.
absolutely.
Now, Blake, I'm going to play some audio. Here's another ICE Karen. These guys were out arresting someone out. They were just running their ICE operations. They were arresting people, and this lady drives up on them and does this.
Another objection! Don't shoot us! Don't murder us!
So I'm launching a new company. I'm launching a new company right now called Ice Karen Alarm Clock Sounds. help you get out of bed in the morning.
Absolutely.
Just lay on that horn.
Oh,
They're arresting us. They're arresting us.
Now, where was that? Was
I
that
think
in
that was
Colorado
Minnesota.
Springs?
No, I think that was Minnesota too. Who knows? They're all over the place.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. All this, blocking traffic, honking your horns. I will tell my kids, and I think I already have, if you were to ever do anything stupid like that and ridiculous, anything is possible. Number one, you could get hit by another car in traffic. And then number two, police could think you have a bomb on you, or who knows? I mean, what do you think? Everything goes downhill from there when you try to block
there is
traffic.
An entire Darwin Award section for the ICE Karens. who put themselves in these stupid situations. Like I remember talking to my kids when all the news first started about Renee Nicole Good, where I was like, if you ever come to me and are like, you know what, Dad, this afternoon we're going to go interrupt some federal law enforcement operations.
Yeah.
I would lock you in your room and be like, until you realize you're not on a suicide mission, because these are people that carry guns. They're in high tense, totally lawful, high tense situations, and you're just inserting yourself in them?
Yeah. And I remember when I first had my first child, all right, the last thing I wanted to do was do anything high risk that would jeopardize me from being their parent. You know what I'm saying? She knows she has a child at home or at school or wherever. What are you doing, clown? Here's a protester in the Springs.
To find out that person was my age.
Okay, that doesn't matter. I'm sorry.
With a child that was never
Now that matters.
going to hug either of their parents again.
Yeah, they're not going to hug either of their parents again because they freaking brought it on themselves.
That is from the town that I am from.
That doesn't matter at all, but I hear you get all emotional because she's from the Springs.
Really, really made it hit. So all lives are equal and all lives are valuable.
Yes.
Not until they're born, apparently, in that worldview.
Boy, you got that right. Yeah, the police officer or the ICE officer wasn't worried about anything. He wasn't thinking about his family or his loved ones. As someone is punching it, about to freaking hit you with a car. Well, I don't know. She didn't turn the steering wheel this way, and she was just trying to get... Shut up. Everybody knows this is all paid for protesters, lefty nut jobs. People need to go back to work, raise your kids, and shut up. Well, you don't have to shut up. You can just peacefully protest like people on the right do, except for on J6 when they, I get it. We just tore down the Capitol. There wasn't any, weird stuff going on there.
Should they have been shot on January 6th?
Well, there was one person who died at the Capitol on January 6th, and that was a Trump supporter, and the police officer who shot her is running a daycare center now and make it $190 million. So,
yeah, all of that's a great answer, but not to my question.
What is the question?
Should more people at January 6th have been shot?
It depends. No, absolutely not.
Why not? Because,
how many?
And this is what I'm asking, Blake, is because what I'm hearing from you is that based on what you saw in Minnesota, you felt that level of violence was it was necessary to respond to that by shooting her. So
because she had control of a weapon, and it was called a vehicle.
Wait. But again, hang on a sec. Remember, so if it's a control of a weapon, we had a police officer that was dragged downstairs and was beaten by a flagpole with an American flag on it. Those people weren't shot. We had people that were attacked. We had an officer on January 6th that was attacked and beaten so badly had fractured vertebrae. We had an officer that was attacked and suffered permanent brain damage. We have video of an officer being crushed between doors where the mob behind him is pushing him so hard he's screaming and blood is coming from his mouth. I submit that all of those people are in greater danger than the officer in Minnesota at that point in time.
I would say they weren't.
If the level of violence was commensurate, then more people should have been shot on January 6th. So
I don't think so because they didn't have a car with an accelerator punched to the floor and about to run him over with the vehicle.
How do you come to the conclusion that she punched it when the accelerator went all the way to the floor and she was about to hit him? How do you come to that conclusion? Help me understand.
Well, I saw the wheels. I mean, you saw the wheels spinning.
Yeah, on what? And what were the wheels on?
They were on pavement.
No, they weren't. They were on snow.
Guys,
well, that makes it even worse.
Okay, all that matters is whether or not the officers had reasonable perception as to what the risk was and whether or not his response was justified as a result of that perceived risk. And my point being, Billy, that if those officers in January 6th felt like their lives were in danger and had shot those people back, you'd be defending them right now.
Perhaps depends on the situation. It would depend on the situation
All
at that time.
has to do with whether or not the officer's reasonable perception.
It
of that
would depend on the situation, and it would just like it depends on the situation inside of Minnesota, and the reasonable perception. And what I see is the reasonable perception of when you see that video and how close he was to the car and how the car came forward. At no point do I come to the conclusion that the person standing there has their life in danger. At no point do I come to the conclusion that that puts his life in danger.
Really?
And
Even when he was getting hit by the car?
Yeah, no. I never at any time. And here's the reason why. I've been in parking lots and I've been hit by cars traveling about that fast from that distance, coming in out of concerts, coming in out of schools. I have been in those situations. I've been in crowded parking lots. I've been in that where you're walking by and someone's angry about it and you guys better move. Yeah, I've been hit by it like that. Never once felt my life was in danger because of proximity, direction, other information I was taking in at the time. That's all I'm saying. Is I can't understand how anybody comes to a reasonable conclusion that was a life-threatening situation and then continues to open fire after the car is passing by them. That's it. Yeah, and that's a question I have. Is I thought the officers on January 6th showed remarkable restraint, and I'm asking for this officer as well to show remarkable restraint, and he didn't. That's my critique.
I think all of them have up to this point. And you can make an argument, which you are, but I say peacefully protest. Don't block streets. Don't wreak havoc. Don't, honk your horns like bat out of hells and take off. And he may have saved people's lives on the other end by shooting her. She was driving recklessly out of there, and maybe he saved lives. That's the way I look at it, because I don't want that lady on the road driving like that in her condition. I mean, give me,
There's video.
The condition where she says, it's okay, buddy, I'm not mad at you, that condition?
Oh, come on.
Well, she shouldn't be mad at him. What? He's just doing his job.
Yeah, right.
And she's acting like a fool.
There's video now of St. Paul, Minnesota Border Patrol agents smashing the windows of radical activists, blocking their operations, yanking them out of the car and detaining them on the spot. They're not screwing around anymore. They're done. Zero tolerance for anyone impeding law enforcement. It's exactly right.
That's true. They're all paid. Michael Allen, DA, 4th Judicial District, on with Jeff and Billy last hour. He's running for Attorney General in this state.
At least the last decade now, we've had total control by Democrats of statewide government. You know, the governor's office, Secretary of State, Treasurer, Attorney General, the 2 senator positions. So any statewide office essentially has been run by Democrats. And over the last 10 years, we've really seen a deterioration of public safety in the state of Colorado. We've seen decriminalization of dangerous drugs like fentanyl and methamphetamine and heroin and that kind of thing.
All right, so he's going to try to win that race coming up. Broncos will play host to the Bills this Saturday at Mile High in the second round of the playoffs, as the Bills, they had to come back to beat the Jags, and they are on their way here to Denver to see if they could knock off the number 1 seed, the Broncos. Patriots beat the Chargers. They will take on the Texans or the Steelers, who play tonight. The Steelers, 23 straight victories at home on Monday night. Will they win another one tonight? We shall see. NFC, Christian McCaffrey was incredible, and the Niners beat the Eagles, and they end their season. They will face the Seahawks, and the Bears and the Rams advance this weekend. Bucks and Nuggets, and the Nuggets win 108-104. Avalanche in action tonight against Toronto at 8 o'clock downtown. 32 in Broomfield, 33 in Highlands Ranch, 34 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Billy. I have to play this real quick because George texted in, and Mr. Allen had a great response.
Yeah, I think I know who that is. I think he's munching on a dirt biscuit right now. And, what I do is I think outside the box, so I joined the Navy, and George went the easy route and went to the Army.
That was
George
quick,
Brockler munching on dirt biscuits.
That was awesome, man. Love it when someone has a sense of humor and quick like that. That was awesome. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Mild, dry winter weather continues. Temperatures will be warm in the upper 50s today, 50s and low 60s tomorrow, and mid-50s on Wednesday, sticking into the 50s as we head into Thursday. Now, for Friday and into the weekend, we are going to be a little bit colder as we are sideswiped by a cold front coming in from the north. However, very little weather will be associated with it, just mainly a drop in temperature by the end of the week and for the beginnings of the weekend, otherwise dry and mild. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Text messages hot. Continue on the Minnesota issue. K9 Unlimited Dog Training saying he was in fear. I know you don't agree, but that situation is your opinion, doesn't matter. The key for me was the smirk on her face. Rod from Littleton. 2286, Jeff, I love you, but you're responding to what happened in Minneapolis according to your political beliefs. I'm a conservative also, but a compassionate one like President George W. Bush. I'm intrigued to know where you had people, like where conservatives protest. I guess January 6th is really the only one I can think of, where you have conservatives actively interfering with law enforcement operations and then hitting people with their cars. And progressive law enforcement shooting them. I don't know. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Nick, Denver. Good morning, Nick. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Thanks for taking my call. Just as a quick aside, if it doesn't snow in the next 6 weeks, we're going to have probably the most serious drought in the Front Range that we've experienced in at least 100 years. And the Denver Water Department has not made any plans to combat it. They're going to be caught flat-footed, and they're going to blame it on climate change. That's just a quick aside. But anyway, as far as what happened in Minneapolis, it's obvious that the other side has done their homework, and the whole rules of engagement are going to have to be looked at and changed completely because they know exactly what buttons to push to get their results. And what they want is a confrontation and something like Minneapolis happening again. And then they can blame it on the administration. They can blame it on whatever they want to blame it on, but they will never assume any responsibility for what they did.
No, I mean, to that point, Nick, I think you're hearing it from other callers that we had, that she, Nicole Good, was Paul Revere. Well, if that's the case, I mean, are we going into a civil war? Is that what you want? A battle? I mean, people are hanging up banners saying, kill ICE. So
Well,
are we on the
that's what I mean.
precipice of violence here?
No, I mean, but you have to deal with the situation the way it is, and the rules of engagement are going to have to change. And this was a horrible incident where things got out of control quickly, and the policeman or the ICE agent made a decision. He thought it was the right one, but it turned fatal. And this is going to happen again. And of course, they're going to blame it on the police. They never assume responsibility for anything.
Nick, Denver, appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Nick's line is open. If you'd like to give us a call, 303-696-1971. Let's talk Dan Caplis with Dan Caplis Law. Dan suggests you should choose a lawyer who shares your values because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. Dan Caplis is the son of a police officer and a former seminarian who's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who've been hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado state history. Dan Caplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P, lislaw.com. Let's go to Jeff and Golden. Good morning, Jeff. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are you? What's on your mind?
I was just after watching the video and everything, one thing that people aren't mentioning that I haven't heard is the fact that most cars have traction control. So even to get the wheels to start spinning like that, you have to mash the throttle. You know what I mean? And if it didn't have traction control, she probably would have spun the thing sideways and crushed a guy or whatever onto the side of the car.
I'm not sure. I don't know. It's a Honda Pilot, and I'm not certain if that one has all-wheel drive or not. And if it is
traction control's been pretty standard for a couple decades, I think.
Yeah, but inside of the traction control is not necessarily the same thing as all-wheel drive. And so with the traction control, if the tire in the back is necessarily spinning, then it allows the other one to have more grip, but it wouldn't prevent the tires from spinning. And I just say that as someone who has traction control on cars and has gotten stuck in the snow. The tires still spin. And we don't know, and again, we're going way down into the rabbit hole, but we also don't know what her tires looked like at the time. Because if her tires have more or less tread, that would allow for more or less slippage. But regardless of that, the information that we have is not just the tires spinning at the time, Jeff, is also we can see through the windshield that she is turning the wheel hard to the right, and she's looking to the right. As she backs up, she then begins to turn hard to the right and is going to the right. She's trying to leave. Now, in my opinion, what she does is, and all of us have done this before, that she pushes on the accelerator before she completes turning her wheels all the way to the right, which gives you a wider turn or arc in that turn. That's what I see. I don't see anything where she aims the car at the officer and is trying to run him down. And I think that's where, in my mind, the officer makes a mistake. And unfortunately, it is a deadly mistake. But I think he totally misreads this situation.
But what can be totally deadly as well is making a quick movement like that when the roads, you did say they are icy and stuff like that. And when you decide to leave in a situation where the roads are icy like that, in a big hurt, and you hit the throttle quick, and the car can slide around violently. Yep. It can hit people. That is the wrong time to push the throttle to get away really quick. I mean, it really is. You've got to have a little more experience with the ice. You know what I mean? Because you're also, putting everybody,
Jeff,
even if in a parking lot like you said downtown, if somebody was to smash the throttle when you're coming out of a concert, and if it's different, if it's dry, but if it's icy, you're really putting everybody at risk because you're going to lose control of the vehicle.
You could. Yes, you could. And the other part is then you also shouldn't be standing in front of the vehicle. As soon as she backs up, the most reasonable thing for that officer to do is take 2 steps backwards and 1 to 2 steps to the right. That takes him out of the arc of where she's leaving. And again, remember that when he's standing there, she backs up first and then goes forward. He has enough time to ascertain whether or not this car can become a threat. And after it backs up, he has enough time to move out of the way. And that's, again, part of the judgment process. Now, I just want to share this with you for a second, Jeff, and Jeff, my partner on air, and also the audience. I think, personally, that part of the reason he made a bad decision was because he wasn't focused on Renee Good at being a threat. I don't think that he thought that's where the threat would come from. It's about threat ascertainment. He's in a group. And I think there are other people around that he believes are more of a threat. That's why he's not concentrating on Renee, and that's why I believe he comes to a wrong conclusion about her actions and her intentions. I think it's a mistake.
And you're also talking about a guy that just got drugged 100 feet 6 months prior.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally almost was doing this type of a thing. So the guy's probably a little, that's another one too. Like we can't even speak to that. I mean, if you've been drugged 100 feet, you're not going to be, that's going to change a person.
Oh, it is. Well, one thing is I wouldn't put myself in front of the car, but the other thing is, and again, this is totally not fair. I preface this, Jeff, my partner on air. This is totally not fair. But because of his previous incident being drugged by the car, I feel that's why he pulls the trigger twice when he's standing to the side of the car. I think it is left over from that incident, him still being afraid and scared. I think because to me, I can't figure out how, if you believe your life is in danger once you're to the side of the car, why you continue to pull that trigger. I think it's left over from that incident. Not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's where it comes from.
Yeah, Michael Allen had a better response to that. That he actually had incredible control. Text messages, similar ones coming in. Were her actions law-abiding at the moment? Rod from Littleton, people around being some ordering her to stop. Her actions were reckless. He was trying to get out of her way. All right, we'll get to Chad next, too. Let's talk Guy Rees, folks. My wife and I had a fantastic experience at the Guy Rees location in Parker. They're all over the Denver metro area. We got to sit down with their professional designers who showed us an incredible selection of Hunter Douglas custom blinds, shades, and shutters. I was a little overwhelmed at first. I've never worked with a personal designer. I normally buy cheap blinds online. But she walked us through everything, helped us find the perfect options to enhance the look and functionality of our home. And every single day, I come to appreciate the fact we went to Guy Rees. So whether your curtains are clashing or you just want a fresh look, Guy Rees has the solutions for you. In fact, we're going back for a second round, some new blinds in another part of our house. Their designers are the experts. They can help you with everything from window treatments to full room decor. And here's the best part. They offer a personalized in-home consultation. They'll come to you with all their samples. So you can get the same expert advice right in your own home. Do yourself a favor. Get started today. Visit GuyRees.com to schedule your in-home consultation. That's GUIRYS.com. Go see the great people at Guy Rees. You'll be sure to thank me. Chad, you'll be up next. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. The shooting in Minnesota continues to be hot. Karens empowered all over the country to go throw themselves in the middle of a federal law enforcement investigation. Operations taking place, arresting bad guys. No, we got to be a part of it.
Mild.
Another abduction! Don't shoot us! Don't murder us!
You know, if you didn't drive up and start honking your horn on them, you don't have to worry about being shot. You know, just go about your days. What does this say about what's happening in America? People now putting banners up. Kill ICE. Protests. In Colorado, folks down in Denver, I saw video footage down there where they were saying, we need to respect everyone, the sanctity of human life, except for ICE and Denver PD. So is there more violence coming? Trump administration not backing down. Videos coming from St. Paul. Someone tried to interrupt a law enforcement operation there. They just broke the window and pulled the guy right out of the car. They're not putting up with it. Is that the right response? Let's go to Chad in Greeley. Good morning, Chad. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Good morning. Well, goodbye,
we
Chad.
lost
Where'd
Chad.
Chad
All right,
go?
call back. In
Yeah,
the
I know.
meantime, let's talk modern, rugged leather. From city streets to mountain trails, your gear should go wherever life takes you. That's why at Modern Rugged Leather, every bag is handcrafted from premium, responsibly sourced leather. Designed to look sharp, last long, and tell a story of its own. Each stitch, buckle, and strap reflects timeless craftsmanship and is backed by a lifetime warranty because quality shouldn't quit when the adventure begins. Whether it's the boardroom or the back roads, Modern Rugged Leather helps you carry confidence every step of the way. Modern Rugged Leather, modern style, timeless durability, backed for life. Life takes you places. Make sure your gear keeps up. Shop the full collection and find yours today at modernrugged.com. Modernrugged.com. Again, modernrugged.com. So, Bill, I'm intrigued by the difference here. Following George Floyd and all the protests, I remember seeing the chief of police, Denver PD. He locked arms, and he was walking down the street in solidarity with the black community, right, in light of some of the protests that took place around George Floyd. Donald Trump, this time around, regarding civil disobedience, nope, breaking windows and just dragging you out. Is this going to escalate the situation? Do you see the ICE protesters, the anti-ICE protesters, kind of responding in likeness to the increased response coming from the Trump administration and ICE? Is this thing going to get worse before it gets better, Mr. Thorpe?
I think you will have individuals that will get off the chain, but as a group, probably not. And the reason why, I think, again, you never know the behavior or mindset of lots of people that gather as far as protests, but I have a feeling that those individuals that were responsible in group settings for some of the violence surrounding Black Lives Matter and those protests saw how after the violence they didn't impact or get the change they were looking for. They didn't get to the end of the violence didn't result in the change they were asking for. So I'm less convinced that it's going to turn that way right now, but I do think there are going to be individuals out there. And the one that I come back to that we haven't heard a lot about was it Arizona? The guy that was across the street or a couple blocks away that was taking shots at the guys out as they were going into the ICE detention center. And that's the kind of thing that I'm worried about. I'm worried about those individuals that won't necessarily show up at an ICE enforcement action. I'm not worried about the people that are going to show up there and start honking their cars like the audio we've been playing this morning and yelling at people. That is going to be a problem, and that is going to be a distraction. But I am convinced that if someone wanted to do serious harm to those agents, they're not going to stand there in front of them and do it themselves. It's going to be at a distance. It's going to be something where I'm taking a rifle and I'm going to be several blocks away because it's easier for me, the shooter, to avoid responsibility that way. So that's what I think it would be. I don't think we're going to see large-scale riots.
Bill, I disagree with you that they didn't get what they wanted out of the 2020 riots.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
What they
cool.
got was the election of Joe Biden. And that is what this is about. Someone asked on the text messages.
Just for a sec.
Yeah.
So you think that the Black Lives Matter thing, the purpose of that was to elect Joe Biden?
100%.
Really?
Yep. These leftist protests are the shock troops for the Democrat Party in an effort to create chaos, to try to demonstrate that Donald Trump is not in control and we need to elect Democrats. That's the reasoning behind it. Someone asked on the text messages, if Barack Obama was able to deport 3 million people, why can't Donald Trump do it without all this controversy? And my question is, do you blame Donald Trump for this or do you blame the left? Because if Barack Obama deported 3 million plus people and did so without, Karens driving up their cars, doing that every time they went out, who do you blame?
The enforcement actions the same?
That's what
I'm curious about. Was the enforcement action the same? Was Barack Obama? Did they use the same tactics? Were there these sorts of convoys moving into neighborhoods with masked men, possibly in unmarked vehicles, coming in to these locations? And I would say no, that's not how it was handled at all. During the Obama administration, were they showing at people's detention meetings and the idea of their asylum meetings and deporting them that way? I don't think so.
How do you think he got rid of 3 million people?
By
asking nicely?
Well, yeah, in some of it, yeah, probably in some ways. But what he didn't do is it didn't seem to have a militarized law enforcement force rolling around town. And for me, I think that is purposeful by the Trump administration, because part of this is the visual. Part of this is the idea that we have this military that's not taking this anymore and that we're tough. And I understand where you're coming with the Black Lives Matter and maybe the idea that, it's such chaos that we have to elect someone else other than Donald Trump. I would push back and say Donald Trump won the first time, and if it is so chaotic, wouldn't you push back against the people that were on the other side? Wouldn't it reinforce the idea that you support the guy you voted for, that look at all these crazies, and so then I need to support him? I'm just not as convinced that the result of the Black Lives Matter was there to get Joe Biden elected. Yeah, but that's okay. I could be wrong.
The Obama administration did not face nearly the opposition regarding sanctuary cities, sanctuary states that Donald Trump has. What you get with Democrats, and you see it with Phil Weiser and everybody else, is that Donald Trump could walk on water and cure cancer, and still Phil Weiser would sue Donald Trump over it in some capacity. This is whatever Trump does, we do the opposite. We fight him. So Donald Trump wants to deport people. Sanctuary city, sanctuary status. And if you're law enforcement that's locally that works with federal ICE, we're going to investigate you. Why? Because we want to protect illegal immigrants? In part, but really, we want to oppose Donald Trump. That becomes the point. That's why these Karen moms are out there interfering all the time. They hate Donald Trump. They want to interfere. Barack Obama can deport 3 million people. They shrug. But just because Donald Trump's trying to do it, now we must fight him. Now we must interfere. Well, feel free to join the conversation. Would love to hear from you. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law Text line, 720-819-5115. I think it's going to get worse. I really do. I think that the left wants civil war, as you heard from David. They believe they're Paul Revere. They're fighting the evil Trump administration. And they're, as we see over and over again, whether it's Charlie Kirk or my own assault, they're willing to escalate to violence. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Text messages hot on this one.
Yeah, they are. You guys been great today.
Why didn't the Obama administration face as much opposition to their deportations? They deported 3 million people. 1019, John Littleton texted in, Obama also had the cooperation of blue cities and states by releasing the targets directly from the jail and ICE instead of what they're doing to the Trump administration. Interesting.
Yeah, I do think that there's some things there with the sanctuary city policies that, in an instance like what we had in Minnesota, if law enforcement was present, I have a hard time feeling that altercation gets to that level on many situations. Right. So I do think that there is some there. And also, though, I think Obama went about it differently. Now, I do remember during the Obama administration, so many people on the left were calling him the deporter-in-chief. He was getting a lot of critique from especially the far left, that he was arresting way too many immigrants, deporting way too many people, and wasn't being compassionate at all. And they were yelling and screaming about, this is not what we voted for. So there was some blowback, but it is a fair critique that they didn't have this many vocal and interactive protests. But I think where we were then and where we are now, it has changed. I think as a whole in society, I wouldn't have gathered that we would have had some of the marches supporting Trump and other things like Charleston during the Obama administration either. So there were lots of things that were kind of the first time ever.
Joe and Golden texting, if Donald Trump was a decent human being, we wouldn't feel that way. But he's a jerk. There's nothing good about that man. And I'm not a Karen. And I would be really insulted if you called me that, says Joe from Golden. But
appreciate that, Joe.
To that point, Joe, new strike force. Is there really nothing good about that man? Because in a major development in animal protection that has drawn nationwide attention, senior officials in the Trump administration have announced a new federal strike force to crack down on the most severe cases of animal cruelty. Officials from the Trump administration revealed plans for a coordinated nationwide effort targeting crimes such as dogfighting, abuse of puppy mills, and harmful animal testing practices. The initiative includes assigning dedicated U.S. attorneys in every state to ensure these cases are treated as a priority rather than an afterthought. So,
Yeah. I think it's a great idea.
Joe
I like
saying, all right, you got me on that one, Jeff.
Nice job, Joe. Appreciate that. I think it's a great idea because it's, again, I got a lot of animals. And so I've got a heart for them, even the slimy, scaly ones and the ones with webbed feet and long tongues that eat insects and, other things. So I do. I've got a heart for it, and I like the idea, and I do think that we need to, again, clamp down. Anytime that we're going to clamp down on animal cruelty and whatever animals those are, I'm in favor of it. In fact, Jeff, there is I want to say it's today. When is it? There's a meeting that's going on with U.S. ARC, which is the people that do some rules and regulations around what animals you can keep here in Colorado. And there are some questions about rules and regulations for my reptile friends about what you can keep and why, and it has to do with whether or not you can keep native species and how. One of the things you can't keep in Colorado, well, you can, but you can't purchase them, are hognose snakes because they're native here. And they've got a problem with importing breeders with hognose snakes here, and then sometimes them getting released into the wild because that's introducing a new genetic strain, not always one that is helpful into the ecosystem. So they're kind of worried about that. It's not the same as releasing pythons and boas into the Everglades in Florida, but it is messing up the gene pool here in Colorado. Some of the people just releasing their snakes into the wild, not necessarily the best thing. So there's I think it's today, there's something going on about it.
Well,
yeah.
In addition to that, Trump also announcing major housing policy shifts with broader executive orders.
Yeah.
But do you give him a little credit for that? Do you think it's actually going to change anything?
Yeah, here's the thing. As weird as a lot of you on the Jeff and Bill Show listening here think that I am, I can give credit when credit is due. And I think this is a great move. Is it the number one solution? No. But is it going to fix things for about 6 to 7% of the market and reducing institutional investment on single family homes for about 6 to 7% of the market would be a huge benefit for the market and for people trying to get into houses. It's not going to have, in my mind, as great of an impact here in Colorado as it will have in some of the southern states. I'm reading that inside of Atlanta, a good portion of new home sales, sometimes as high as 30%, are going to these institutional buyers.
You know, one of my favorite movies is The Big Short.
Oh, yeah.
With Steve Carell and some of the other folks on how the big agencies, the big financial agencies can manipulate the housing market to their benefit.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So I see this and I'm like, well, to your point, I think it's smaller. I think it's more like 5% of the market, but it could be 6 or 7%, as you mentioned, that are going to be impacted by this. I think the real culprit in preventing homes from becoming more affordable is just the lack of inventory that comes from an overregulated state like Colorado and California that just, like, the only people that can build a home. Like, we used to build homes out of grass and sod in this country. Now you have to be a developer to build a home. There's no other way to do it. So, because they're the only ones that can put up with all of the restrictions out there and navigate them and hire the attorneys and go to all the meetings to be able to develop homes. So, I do think it'll help out a little bit, and I'm sensitive to how those major financial industries can manipulate the housing industry to make money.
And I think that one of the most important things that we've seen is that for the average American, home ownership actually ends up being their greatest investment. It's not 401k, retirement plans. The majority of Americans, their retirement plan is the rising value of their single-family home.
And that's the trade-off.
And that's why I think it's good to get the institutional investors out of the single-family home business, because I want the individual to be able to amass that as far as an asset, not the larger institutional investors. You guys go buy condo buildings. That's what you need to do. Go do that. You've got enough money.
Well, it's been an absolutely fantastic show. Thank you to everybody that jumped in and joined the conversation by giving us a call. This is what makes the Jeff and Bill Show absolutely, totally unique in Colorado. Nobody else gets to jump in and debate like we do on the radio. So join us tomorrow. We'll be right back, and Catholic Vote will be with us tomorrow. So not going to want to miss that conversation as the state has to pay up. We'll cover that. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
KNUS. Enjoy your Monday.